Okay, so you're ready to like really dive into this whole world of supplements, right? You've got that entrepreneurial spirit. You want to help people. Maybe you've even got like a top secret formula already.
Some amazing concoction.
Yeah. But turning that dream into like a whole supplement empire, that's where it gets tricky.
It can be a bit of a minefield.
Right. There's regulations and suppliers and branding. It's a lot.
Mhm.
And luckily, that's where the Stashow method comes in. It's like promising to be that shortcut you've been searching for.
Mm.
But before we jump in, we got to see if it actually lives up to all the hype.
Right, you got to be skeptical and can't just buy into every shiny promise out there.
Exactly. So we're putting this whole Stashow method under the microscope. Think of us like supplement detectives.
We'll dig into the claims, look at the strategies, see if it holds up. And you never know, we might even find some hidden gems along the way.
First things first, the author lays out their origin story.
Mhm.
Rags to riches supplement edition. We're talking multiple failed ventures, stress through the roof, the whole shebang. It's like that classic entrepreneur story, but with a protein shake on the side.
It's a tried and true formula. Draw you in with the struggle before you get to the success. Makes it relatable.
For sure. It's like, hey, I was a mess just like you, but then this method changed everything. Very motivational poster vibes. But let's move past that and get to the actual method. One thing that stood out to me, the emphasis on finding your target audience, like laser focus on who you're selling to.
And that's where a lot of people stumble, right? Trying to create a supplement for everyone ends up appealing to no one.
Totally. You can't be everything to everyone, like trying to sell a sleep-enhancing tea that also gives you energy.
Just doesn't work.
Yeah.
The Stashow method uses the example of busy professionals, people looking for nootropics, stress relief, that kind of thing. Instead of going after the whole market, you zoom in on a specific niche.
Right, because you wouldn't market a high-end nootropic the same way you would a kid's multivitamin, right?
Exactly. Knowing your niche lets you tailor everything your message, your product, even your marketing to a specific group that's already interested. Makes sense.
Makes total sense. But this is where I got a little skeptical. The author talks about finding reliable suppliers, compares it to hunting a unicorn.
Mhm.
Is it really that hard?
Well, you need top-notch ingredients, verified potency, and you're navigating a web of safety regulations. It can be a lot to handle, especially if you're just starting out.
Not exactly a walk in the park, then.
Right.
So the Stashow method claims to solve this by giving you access to a catalog of over 140 GMP-certified supplements. They even specifically call out nootropics and multivitamins, which goes back to that whole busy professional niche we talked about.
Yeah, and that GMP certification is huge. Shows a certain level of quality control, means they're following proper manufacturing standards. It's like a stamp of approval builds trust with customers.
So it's not just about having a cool product. It's about letting people know it's safe
Mhm.
and it actually does what it says it does. But I'm all about the details. What do they actually say about how to choose the right supplier from that catalog? Is there more to it than just make sure they're GMP certified?
Yeah, that's a good question. We got to dig deeper. They're promising a shortcut, but are they actually giving you the directions or just pointing you in a general direction? We've got to find out. It's one thing to have a list right, but knowing what to look for in a supplier, that's key.
Yeah,
It's like having a menu with 100 dishes but no descriptions. How do you even choose?
totally. I'm picturing myself scrolling through this giant catalog, just overwhelmed. Are they giving you any more guidance besides GMP certification? Because that does feel kind of vague.
Well, they do talk about things like where they get their ingredients and third-party testing. It's not just about the facility being GMP compliant, it's also about the quality of the stuff they're using and making sure they're getting independent verification that their products are pure and potent.
Okay, that's good. At least they're acknowledging that there's more to it than just checking a box. But I'm still curious about the specifics. Like, do they give you a checklist of questions to ask suppliers? Or red flags to watch out for?
Yeah, they mentioned having a team that can help you vet suppliers, so it's not totally DIY, which could be good or bad depending on how much you want to be involved.
Interesting. So it's like they're trying to give you the resources but also hold your hand a little bit, which for someone new to all this might be exactly what they need. Speaking of hand-holding, let's talk about the part of the business that makes a lot of people sweat logistics. The author paints this hilarious picture of their pre-Stashow chaos boxes stacked to the ceiling, lost shipments, the whole disaster movie scene.
It's a common nightmare, right? And they claim to solve it all with their dropshipping model. But here's where it gets interesting. Dropshipping itself isn't a one-size-fits-all thing. There are actually different models, each with their own quirks and considerations.
Wait, hold on. Different models of drop shipping. I thought it was just, someone else handling the shipping for you.
Right. But think about it. You could partner with a huge fulfillment center that does everything, or you could go with smaller, more niche drop shippers who focus on certain types of products. And there are pros and cons to each, especially when you're dealing with something as sensitive as supplements.
Okay, my brain is officially intrigued. So let's say I'm all in on that nootropics niche we discussed earlier. What kind of drop shipping model would make sense for that?
Well, if you're going for that premium brand image, you might want to lean towards a smaller, more specialized dropshipper, someone who can offer that personalized service and handle those delicate products with care. Think white glove treatment for those brain boosting formulas.
But wouldn't that be way more expensive?
Possibly yes, but you're paying for a higher level of service and control, which could be worth it for your target audience. Remember, those busy professionals, they're probably willing to pay a premium for convenience and quality.
That's a good point. It's not just about the cheapest option. It's about finding the right fit for your brand and your market. Now, that's some real wisdom. But let's not forget about the visuals. I'm talking labels, branding that first impression that can make or break a product. The author talks about their early DIY label attempts, and let's just say they weren't exactly screaming professional.
It's a good reminder that even the best formula in the world won't sell if the packaging looks like it was made in someone's basement.
Exactly. And the Stashow Method hypes up this idea of connecting you with designers who specialize in the supplement industry. But is that level of specialization really necessary?
Well, there's definitely something to be said for working with someone who gets the whole supplement world. They'll know about FDA labeling regulations, how to highlight key ingredients, even the current design trends in the niche. Think about those sleek minimalist labels that are so popular with nootropics brands right now.
Okay, I see their point. But couldn't any talented designer achieve the same thing with the right briefing and research?
Maybe, but do you really want to spend all that time teaching a designer about the ins and outs of the supplement industry? Or would you rather work with someone who's already fluent in that language? Time is precious, especially when you're launching a business.
You're right about that. Sometimes efficiency is worth the extra cost. But speaking of cost, there's another piece of the puzzle that often gets overlooked, the money side of things.
Hmm?
And it's not just about the initial investment. The Stashow Method really pushes this idea of recurring revenue, which honestly sounds amazing to me.
The dream, right? Making money while you sleep. It's a powerful concept, especially in the supplement world. People usually take supplements consistently, so a subscription model can create a really steady stream of income.
But let's be real, it can't be that easy. What's the catch?
Well, the catch is you need to provide real value to keep those subscribers happy. It's not just about sending them a bottle every month, it's about building a relationship.
So what does that look like in practice?
Think personalized emails with tips on how to get the most out of their nootropics exclusive content, like interviews with experts in cognitive enhancement, maybe even early access to new formulas or research findings.
Okay, now you're talking. That's the kind of stuff that would keep me coming back as a subscriber.
Yeah,
It's not just about the product, it's about feeling like you're part of something bigger.
exactly. And that's something important to consider when you're looking at the Stashow method. It's one thing to set up a subscription button on your website. It's another thing entirely to create a whole thriving subscription business.
So are they giving you the tools to actually build that kind of engagement? Or is it more like, here's the idea, good luck figuring it out?
That's where we need to really dig into the details. They mention providing templates for email campaigns and resources for content creation, but we need to see how robust those actually are.
Okay, so we're seeing a pattern here. They're giving you the big picture, the framework, but it's up to you to fill in the gaps and make it your own. But hey, isn't that what being an entrepreneur is all about?
Absolutely. No method, no matter how good, can replace your own creativity, intuition, and hard work.
Well said. But speaking of hard work, there's one aspect of this whole supplement game that can feel like navigating a maze regulations. And while the Stashow Method mentions this, I'm curious how deep they actually go.
It's a crucial piece of the puzzle and one that can trip up even the most experienced people. We're talking FDA regulations, labeling requirements, ingredient restrictions. It can feel like learning a whole new language.
And one wrong step could land you in big trouble.
Right. So it's not just about making a product that works, it's about making sure it's compliant with all the rules.
Which, let's be honest, isn't exactly the most exciting part of starting a business. But hey, that's where having the right guidance can really make a difference. What are they actually saying about navigating all those regulations?
Well, they do mention providing access to legal resources and templates for compliant labeling. It's not a totally DIY thing, which again could be good or bad depending on how comfortable you are with all that.
Hmm. Okay, so at least they're acknowledging that you can't just wing it when it comes to regulations.
Mhm.
But are they actually giving you the knowledge to handle it confidently? Or are they just pointing you towards a lawyer and saying, good luck?
That's where we got to look at the fine print. They might offer a solid foundation, but is it enough to build a legally sound business on your own? Or are there gaps you'll need to fill with extra research or maybe even some expert advice?
Sounds like a good starting point, but
Hmm.
yeah, I don't want to see exactly what's in those templates and guides before I felt totally comfortable. You don't want to launch a product and then, boom, warning letter from the FDA.
Hmm.
But compliance is just one piece of the puzzle. What about actually getting people excited about your supplement? We're talking marketing.
Yes.
Mhm.
The art of persuasion supplement style. You could have the most amazing nootropic formula ever, but if nobody knows about it, it's just going to sit on a shelf collecting dust.
Exactly. And these days, with so much competition online, it's not enough to just have a website and hope for the best.
You got to stand out, grab attention, build trust, and ultimately convince people that your supplement is the answer to their, brain boosting dreams.
So what's the Stashow Method's take on all that? Do they give you actual strategies, or is it more like figure it out yourself?
Well, they do touch on a few different approaches, like building an online presence, using social media, creating engaging content. They also really emphasize email marketing, which, believe it or not, is still a super powerful way to connect with customers.
Email marketing. Really? I thought that was kind of outdated.
Don't underestimate a good email. It's a direct connection to your audience, a way to build those relationships and offer value beyond just selling.
Okay, I'm listening. What about all the newer stuff like influencer marketing? That seems to be all the rage these days.
They do mention influencer marketing as a possible strategy, and it makes sense, right? A lot of health and wellness influencers have huge followings, and they can definitely influence what people buy.
So they're covering a range of tactics, but are they going deep enough? Are they giving you real actionable advice, or are they just throwing around buzzwords?
That's the big question. They might give you the overview, but the real test is, do they give you the tools to actually make those strategies work? Like, do they tell you how to find the right influencers for your niche? Or give you templates for writing those killer emails that actually get people to buy?
That's the stuff that really matters. It's like having a cookbook with all the ingredients listed, but no actual instructions on how to make the dish.
Exactly. And that's something to really pay attention to when you're checking out the Stashow method. Are they giving you the full recipe for success or just a list of ingredients?
Thinking back to the author story, they mentioned failing a bunch of times before hitting it big. Makes me wonder, did they struggle with marketing? And if so, what mistakes did they make that you think someone just starting out could learn from?
That's a great point. It highlights something really important. Even with a solid method, there are going to be bumps in the road. The Stashow method might give you a map, but it can't guarantee a perfectly smooth journey. You got to be able to adapt, learn from your mistakes, and constantly tweak your approach.
Like they say, experience is the best teacher, even if it comes with a few expensive lessons along the way. But speaking of learning, we've been talking a lot about the practical side of things, but there's something else I wanted to touch on, the heart of your brand.
You're talking about values. It's often overlooked, but it's so crucial for creating a brand that truly connects with people.
Especially in the health and wellness world, people are really paying attention to the brands they support. They want something they can believe in.
Exactly. It's not just about the product anymore. It's about what the company stands for. Are they all about sustainability, transparency, ethical sourcing? These are the values that can really set you apart and attract those customers who share your vision.
It's like people want to put their money where their values are. But does the Stashow method address this at all? Do they talk about defining your brand values?
It's not something they explicitly cover, which is interesting. It's almost like they assume everyone already has their values all figured out. But in reality, it's a process, something you have to really think about.
So where do you even begin with that? How do you figure out your brand values in a way that feels genuine and connects with your audience?
It starts with looking inward. Ask yourself, what are you truly passionate about? What kind of impact do you want to make? And how do those things translate to the supplement world?
For example, if someone is super passionate about the environment, maybe they source their ingredients from organic, sustainable farms or use eco-friendly packaging.
Exactly. Or maybe they're really focused on fair trade practices, making sure everyone in the supply chain is treated well and paid fairly.
So it's not just about slapping a label on your product. It's about actually living those values
Yeah,
in every part of your business.
absolutely. It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk. And that authenticity, that's what draws people in.
Sounds like this is one area where the Stashow method, while helpful, might not be enough. It gives you the tools, but building a brand that truly resonates, that goes deeper.
I agree. It's
Yeah.
about digging deeper, finding your why, and letting that guide your decisions.
So if you're thinking about using the Stashow method, consider it a starting point, a foundation. But don't be afraid to go beyond that and really bring your own values and passion into it.
Because that's what will make your brand truly stand out, not just on the shelf, but in the minds of your customers.
Well said. We covered a lot today, from the nitty-gritty of suppliers and logistics to the bigger picture of branding and values.
It's been a great deep dive into the Stashow method and what it really takes to build a successful supplement brand these days.
We looked at the claims, uncovered some interesting points, and hopefully gave you the info you need to decide if this method is right for you.
Remember, no method is a magic bullet. It's a tool, a guide, but your success ultimately comes down to your own hard work, creativity, and willingness to learn and adapt.
And don't forget the power of defining your brand values, bringing your passion to everything you do.
That's what makes a brand truly special and connects with people who share your vision.
So do your research, and if you decide to try the Stashow method, approach it with a critical eye, make it your own, and don't be afraid to add your own unique spin.
The world of supplements is waiting.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.